Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? I want to get this off my chest because obviously TikTok and a lot of my followers on TikTok just don't understand what I'm saying. Okay, this Black Lives Matter movement, the honest to goodness Black Lives Matter movement, I support. I do not support all this violence, this chaos, this hurting people, tearing down businesses, burning buildings, because it is just taking so much out of people. And it's all races that this violence is taken away from. This violence is hurting everyone on a whole. It's not making a point for Black Lives Matter. It's actually tearing down Black Lives Matter because people are losing respect and reverting into this it's all about me to protect themselves. If we would unite and stop the violence and actually get the movement moving, we could make a difference. Now, the thing that people are failing to understand that's coming from me, when they say no lives matter until Black Lives Matter, everybody knows on my Facebook who my wife is. Most of you know my grandson. I have a grandson who is black. I have my daughter who is half black and his Puerto Rican and Native American. Well, maybe she's not half black, but she's got black in her, okay? Because her dad was Puerto Rican and black. And then I'm Native American and Irish. So there you go. Here's the thing. I've got so many different races in my family. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm not a racist. Because I'm not a racist. That didn't come out right. What I'm saying is, there are people who have all kinds of other genders and races in their families, and families can be still racist towards them. I'm not. I'm not racist against anybody. I don't care where you're from. I really don't. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, green, or purple. I really don't. My thing is, when they say no lives matter until Black Lives Matter and this systematic oppression against black people, okay, like I said, I support the Black Lives Movement. I really do. I believe equality should be for everyone. I don't believe that someone should have to go into some place and then feel uncomfortable because everyone's staring at them like, what the hell are you doing here, based on their skin color. That is just wrong on so many levels, and I don't support that behavior. I don't teach that behavior. I don't condone it. I don't excuse it. What I'm trying to say is that black lives are not the only ones that are dealing with a form of systematic oppression. They're not. And I get tired of hearing that it's only black people that are dealing with systematic oppression. No, the freak, they're not. It's not just black people that are dealing with this. Native Americans have been dealing with this since the Europeans showed up in this country. Long before Native Americans even knew there were black people. Let's get to the heart of this. And yes, I'm a little heated about this because I saw a TikTok today that just kind of sent me off the deep end. Okay, here's the thing. Europeans came over here. Europeans were sent over here after they found this land. Allegedly, they're out there in their ships and they find this land. This land wasn't empty. This land was fully occupied by indigenous people. Just like England had all of their people. Ireland had all of their people. Scotland had their people. What they called the Americas had their people. My ancestors, Native Americans. Okay, so now what did England start to do? Bringing over their criminals, sending them here for their disciplinary action, kicking them out of their homeland, sending them to us over here, my ancestors. And then it just built up from there. When England and France realized that this country could be prosperous, they start sending more people over here. And then what happened is they decided that they're the superior beings, and they come over here and start telling us indigenous people how to live. That we are wrong, that we're savages, that we're awful, and our skin is criminal, and the reason why we're here living like this is because God rejected us. I'm sorry. God created us. But of course, their ignorance, they pick and choose what part of the Bible they wanted to live in and live about. So now we have England and we have France that are all over here just tearing this country apart, killing us, suppressing us, knocking us under. Okay, we had Mexico, South America. We had the Spaniards and stuff coming up here. We got along with them a little bit better than we did the Europeans. So they show up, and then what happens is that Europe, especially England, had this "I'm better than everyone else" attitude. That we are the proper people. We live proper. We have to teach everyone to be like us, because if you're different from us, you are not loved by God. Okay, I mean, England fought with everybody. They wanted everything. They fought with Scotland. They fought with Ireland, you know. So they also, in all of their worldly travels, found Africa. And found more indigenous people. Okay, indigenous meaning black. Different tribes, different ways of life. They were doing just fine until the Europeans showed up. Europeans showed up with all of their diseases and infections and stuff, and passed it to the Americas, and passed it to Africa and India and the like thereof. So England has imposed themselves upon all kinds of people. And because they couldn't control Africa and have brought trouble to Africa in the same fashion that they brought it to what they called the Americas, they also found a way to help them through this. Help them through their famine. Help them through some of the sicknesses. And in turn, they lied to the African nations and said, bring some of your people with us. We will show them how to make your land thrive. And in this way, you don't have to deal with this, and this, you know. They just lied a big lie. They convinced the chiefs and I don't know exactly politically what they were called, but the head of the tribes. I know them as chiefs. I don't know if they called them something different over there in Africa. And anyway, so here they go, sending their people over here. Well, they found that because they considered them savages and awful, ugly people, they slaved them. But you know what? Africans weren't the only ones that they slaved. They did slave Native Americans. They killed us. They raped the women. They killed the children. Just deplorably. They even took out the buffalo and just to name a few common things that people can wrap their minds around. So now we're dealing with England, we're dealing with France, we're dealing with Spain here in the Americas. They are also imposing themselves on Africa. They imposed themselves on Ireland. They imposed themselves on Scotland. So let's get back to part of my heritage. Native American, we all know. See, thing with the schools They're only allowed to teach certain things that benefit the government because of the treaties that were eventually forced upon us, forced upon my ancestors, that they're still violating today. Trump violating treaties today. Trump's an ass. He don't give a damn about nobody but himself. Self-serving, egotistical, narcissistic, Russian-loving piece of shit that he is. Lord forgive me for that. Anyway, the systematic oppression is on the heads of indigenous people. Treaties and all. We were forced into those treaties. They convinced us to sign these treaties and took advantage of the fact that they were not as literate in the English language as the interpreters were giving them. Anyway, my kids are out there arguing. Now, part of my ancestry deals with slavery, not just with indigenous people from Ireland. I've been doing a lot of research on my people. Ireland, some of my people were brought over here with the thought of, hey, this is a better country, better land, there's opportunities, the same crap they sold to Africa, they sold to Ireland. And so what they did is they brought all of these people over from Ireland on ships. Well, guess what? When they got here, they owed England money for transporting them here and finding them a place to live and feeding them. So what did they do? They put them in workshops and plantations. They worked on plantations too. They worked on farms. They were forced to. They had to pay for all of that. And the way they paid them, it would be their life, their children's life, their grandchildren's life. Long before that one person, their debt was paid off. So I've had people in my history that were slaves to England. And they're bullshit lies. So if people, Black Lives Matter, White Lives People, and I'm not talking about KKK and all of them. I'm just talking about your standard, everyday white person who doesn't give a crap what your skin color is, would go above and beyond what the schools have given and educate themselves because the documents and the information is out there as to the truth of what happened. If Asians, let me not leave them out. Asians, it happened to them and it still happens to them today. There is a restaurant in my town, Chinese buffet, who has women that are working there that were brought here from their homeland. I'm not sure which Asia country it is, but China or wherever, I don't know. I don't want to assume. I know it's an Asian country. They're over here. They're working at this restaurant. Guess what? They owe the people all the monies back that it took to bring them over here, put them up, feed them. Yes, that kind of oppression is still happening today. Happens a lot in the Asian countries, but not exclusive to Asian countries. So if people would do their education outside of what the government will allow the schools to do, you will learn it is not systematic oppression just for Black people. There is systematic oppression with Native Americans. There's still oppression with Asians. There's oppression with Mexicans and all kinds of other Spanish people.
Hello.
Even Puerto Rico, which is is part of America still. They come over here and still get shit. They get a lot of shit up in New York and Jersey and all that from the Italians. Not all Italians, and the percentage is small. Okay? Bottom line is, while everybody's sitting here talking about Black lives matter and no lives matter until black lives matter. I'm sorry, it's not just black lives that go through the bullshit. There are indigenous women who are murdered every single day, come up missing, never to be found. And when they do find them, they are raped, mutilated, all kinds of stuff. We are put on reservations that have dead land. And they say, oh, well, here's a casino. Here's some alcohol. Go for it. If we want to live the way of our people, we have to do it on our reservations. We have the opportunity to leave our reservation and get the same education as anybody else. We still have that opportunity to do this and do that, lift ourselves up, make something of ourselves, and go back and help our people. But we have people... There's a wolf spider in there and it's dead, but it's in there. So leave that box on top of it until I pick it up.
Does it bite?
They do. And their bite really hurts and can make you sick.
And Grandma, have a private talk.
Can you have what?
A private talk, but the poke.
In a minute. Let me get done with this because I'm getting I'm venting, and my people are gonna. Oh, I will deal with that. Sorry. My precious. Okay, I lost my train of thought just a little bit with him. And it was important what he said to me, so pardon the pause there. Bottom line is, it's not just black people that are being oppressed. It's not black people that have, we Native Americans still have this issue. We have all of these immigrants from Mexico and South America and stuff that come up here, and they're having all of the oppression and the racism against them. And I don't think it's fair for anybody to sit there and say, no life matters until black lives matter. And I had someone tell me that, I said, it's not just black lives that are oppressed. And I said, Native American lives have some of the oppression and the racism still going on too. And they said, well, we'll deal with them later. Excuse me? You will deal with it? We'll be next? I'm sorry. I'm not taking a step back. I'm not standing in line. All lives do matter to me. Meaning, I don't care where you're from. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care if you're an atheist. I'm not. I'm a Christian minister. I cuss. I ride bikes, motorcycles, trucks. I'm not perfect. I am a child of God, regardless of my imperfections. I'm just saying, if us Native Americans wanted to pull the treaty, guess how many people would become foreigners on this land? A lot of you. That's not what we want. Native Americans aren't trying to hurt anybody else. You don't see us jumping around and burning buildings down and killing people and all this other crap. That's not Black Lives Matter. That is just a bunch of radicals. We got somebody out there by the name of King. Trying to remember his first name. He's radical. He wants to remove all Jesus statues because it is a form of racism, white supremacy. A Jesus statue represents white supremacy. Bethlehem, Judea, that's the Middle East. There's no white there in his time. In Jesus' biblical time, there were no white people. There were no black people. There were no Asian people. Okay, maybe the nations were already divided by Jesus. I'm sorry. Bottom line is, where Jesus was, the white people weren't there. Where Jesus was, the black people weren't there. God already divided the freaking nations. Where Jesus was born is the Middle East. 9 times out of 10, he had black hair. Maybe brown. And his skin was dark. Not black. He had brown skin. But Jesus represents white supremacy. How ignorant can you get? And the guy, he is so light-skinned. Now, I'm not being narrow-minded, because there are plenty of black people who have a black mother and a black father who have the lightest colored skin. My daughter's one of them. This man looked like he got white in him. Period. And I'll bet you 10 to 1, he has never done a DNA on himself. Matter of fact, you know what? Getting a DNA to find out what your true heritage is, it's not all that expensive these days. Because there's so many companies out there doing it. It wouldn't hurt people to put some money together and go run a DNA on themselves. I bet a lot of people would be surprised where their background is. I've known people that were raised, yeah, I'm German and Scottish, or German and Irish, and I'm German this and German that, and come to find out they're not German at all. They were raised to believe they were German. And when they did the DNA, not once, not twice, 3 different places on DNA testing, no German. None. There have been white people that says, yeah, I'm from Europe, I'm from England, I'm from this, I'm from that, blah, 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 blah. Come to find out, 4 grandfathers ago, went right into the black slavery. His family turned black and were slaves. You talk about a person having their mouth shut real quick. You just don't know. You cannot know. Some people came here from other countries and lied about their background so they wouldn't get slaved. So they wouldn't get England to judge them. Or Francia, which is France. The French to come over here and do this and do that to them because of their background. A lot of people lied. So people were brought up believing they were one thing when they're actually another. Bottom line is, honestly, I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care if you're Christian or Catholic or Baptist or atheist or Wiccan or pagan or what the freak. I don't care. My heart, every life matters. Every life matters. Now, does that mean out here in society it's like that? No, it's not. But oppression, systematic oppression and racism is not just against black people. Am I even allowed to say that they're black? Am I supposed to call them African Americans? What is the politically correct word to call somebody who is black? I don't know, because it doesn't matter what I say. Someone's always going to say that I'm wrong, or I'm prejudiced, or I am ignorant. You know what? I know what it's like to be told, you can't sit here and eat in my restaurant because I don't like you. I don't like what you are. Yeah, that's happened to me. You know why? 'Cause I'm gay. I'm gay. I am a lesbian. I have had people come after me talking about, you need to die because you're gay. You're an abomination to God. You're this, you're that. Get out. Yes, that's happened to me. Not based on skin color, but prejudice is just what that is. Prejudice. Somebody judging you because of something about you that they don't like. So they become this narcissistic person with this attitude that thinks they're better than you. The Old Testament, it says, a man shall not lie with a man as one lies with a woman. You're right. Old Testament. You know what else the Old Testament says? Women shouldn't wear pants. How women are to dress. They are not to put their leg in pants, in garments as a man does. Yeah, it says that. You know what else the Bible says? Shouldn't mark your body. Tattoos. No tattoos. Women aren't supposed to cut their hair. It's supposed to grow long. Yes, it does. It says that. Can you imagine if God didn't bring his son here? And here us women are dressing like men, wearing blue jeans. Girl blue jeans, it doesn't matter. They're still pants. And having tattoos all over us and got our hair short and all that. Can you imagine? We're not even supposed to wear makeup. Yes, it says it in the Old Testament. Nowhere in the New Testament, though, after Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, for those who do believe, does it say any of those things. Doesn't even talk about being gay. It doesn't say we're an abomination. It's an allergy.
Okay.
Try the rice cakes. Any one you want. There's chocolate ones in there too. Okay, we'll find something else. Found out that my grandson is gluten sensitive. I'm gluten intolerant. I have celiac, but he's gluten sensitive. He doesn't get as sick like me, but he has gluten sensitivities. You want a can of fruit? Give me a second. I'm almost done. I just find that it is not fair. And we got all of these white people who want to jump on board and sit there and say, yeah, Black Lives Matter. And this is what we're talking about. And this is what they're talking about. And they're doing it because they're scared. A lot of them who want to argue with me, it's because they're scared. They're scared. So they're going to stand up and say, yeah, but when you listen to them intently and how they're talking, one, you can tell they're scared. Two, they're trying to fit in so the black people can accept them and not come and hurt them. And three, they just don't have a clue. They're just standing up making noise. And you know what? If that's what it takes to make a change, then let them be that way. Let them. I'm good with that. I want equality for everyone. Yes, I do. But you know what? I do not agree with no lives matter until Black Lives Matter, because it's not just Black lives that are oppressed and going through oppression and racism in this country. It's not just them. And I'm sorry. Native Americans were here long before black folk were. We were here before white folk were here. We were here before Asian folk were here. But let me tell you a little something. Native Americans were slaughtered, raped, murdered, hung, shot, burned alive, sliced open, doused in sweetness, and hung up in these metal cages for critters to get to them by every nation that was in this country. Slavery, black slaves, they feared us. They saw a native, they killed us. If you want to. France, England, Asians, the Spanish. As well as many others did the same to black folk. So for black people to sit there and say they have been systematically oppressed longer than any other race is a flat out lie. Is a lie. And the people who are saying that are wrong. And they're misleading the people because no one else was in this country before white people showed up but Native Americans. And we are still systematically oppressed. And yes, this video is very long. And I'm sorry for that. No, I'm not. You know, I hope somebody sees this and can start to understand. I'm not a prejudiced person. I'm not a racist person, but I am basing things on facts. Black people have not been the longest standing race that's been oppressed. They're not. Native, how we call it, indigenous people, it's happened to us longer than it has any other race because everybody wanted what we had. Now, they couldn't kidnap us because we were already here. They're the ones that came to our land. But we were abused. I'm just going to use that as a general term. Just like black people. We were slaved just like black people. We were raped, mutilated, murdered, beaten, whipped, just like black people. So when I say all lives matter, they matter to me. Am I being insensitive to black lives? No, I agree with it. I don't agree with all the violence and chaos that's going on. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and they make themselves look so pathetic, and they're hurting the Black Lives Matter movement. I just think it's wrong for them to say no life is going to matter until Black Lives Matter, because they're the only one that's systematically being oppressed, because it's a load of bullshit. 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 Educate yourself before you speak stupid shit out your mouth. Native Americans, South America, Africa, Asians, Irish, Scottish, all experienced slavery at the hands of the Europeans at that time. I'm not responsible for anything that has happened to anybody in the past before I was even thought of. I am not responsible for that. We all have the same abilities, and some of us do have to fight a little harder than others to get our life where we want it to be. But it's not impossible. Not impossible. And when we fight that much harder to better our lives and step up and make the change, be the change we want in this society, it speaks loudly. It does. When you work hard as hell to have a home and a car and food on your table and your children happy and healthy and able to send them to college and things like that, and you may have had to work harder than some other people to get to that point, that shows society. It does. We shouldn't have to prove ourselves, but a lot of us have to prove ourselves, including our fair-skinned people. I may not look Native American, but by God, I am. It just shows that you can be the change you want in society. And I don't agree with no lives matter until Black Lives Matter. I support Black Lives Matter. I support Indigenous Lives Matter. I support Mexican Lives Matter. I support Asian Lives Matter. I support all lives. I don't support racism. I don't support systematic racism. I don't support prejudice of any kind. I don't support it because I look white, I'm female, and I'm gay. And I'm Native American. I got a lot of counts against me. I am in a multiracial family. So when biased people look at me, I get white people that snicker and, oh my God, she's a such and such lover. I'm not going to use that word. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to give you the initial to it. Then I have another side. Well, you're not enough. You don't have enough of it in you. You don't look enough. You don't. Okay, so that's the other side saying, mixed breeds. Where do they fit? Where do the mixed people fit? My wife is mixed. My grandson is mixed. All my grandkids are mixed. My daughter's mixed. Where do they fit in it? They're not black enough. They're not white enough. Nobody is ever going to be happy. But all this violence and chaos, y'all should be ashamed of yourself, because that's not telling anybody anything. That's just showing your ignorance. And it's harming any of the lives movement, equality movement. All of the violence and hurting people, burning buildings down, and all of that. All that's doing is pushing the equality thing back on the back burner. Do you see Trump doing anything about it? No. Do you see House and Senate doing anything about it? No. Do you see the mayors and the governors doing anything? You know why? They're backing out and saying, I give up. Because they have no support from our government. They have no support from Washington. That's why they're giving up. That's why they're saying, whatever, have your way, do whatever you want. They believe in equality. Most of them, not all of them. But they're giving up because there's no support from our government in Washington. That's why that's happening. Nothing else. Educate yourself, people. Do your research. And I know I may have pissed some people off with this, and that's okay. If you want to do a dialogue with me, by all means. If you want to educate me on something, please do. I am open to understanding and hearing other people's opinions and their side of things. I really am. I am open to change. And like I said, education brings understanding. Understanding can bring peace. And I am killing a succulent plant. A leaf just fell off. And I've been giving it water every week like I'm supposed to. Anyway, I love every one of you. I do. I am just a simple little minister that really is not biased. I will stand up for my God and my beliefs. I will love and support each one of you and your differences. I don't care where you're from. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care your religion. You're a human being. We are born in this world alone. We die alone. And if you cut us open, we all bleed red. We are all children of God. And those of you who don't believe in God, we are still united as one. We are children together. So let's be the change we want to see. And let's support each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's lift up the honest Black Lives Matter movement. But let's also lift up the Indigenous Lives movement. Let's lift up, how about this, the equality movement. How about that? Let's do that. The equality.